Hey, curious minds, welcome to the Robert and Crew Show, where nothing's off limits and everything's up for debate. I'm Robert, here with Crew and the awesome Julie, and let me tell you, Season 6 is our wildest ride yet. You like conspiracies? We've got them. From secret societies with handshake deals in shadowy rooms, to wild theories about weather control and UFOs zipping across the skies, I promise there's no rabbit hole too deep for us to dive into. Ever wondered if your neighbor's a lizard person? Or if the lights in the sky are just weather balloons, or something a little more out of this world? Yeah, we talk about that. But it's not just mysteries and mayhem. We're also obsessed with history's weirdest moments, global news stories that never make the front page, and even the pop culture that shaped us. Batman debates, Assassin's Creed lore, classic horror films that made us sleep with the lights on, all fair game. And the best part? Our show isn't just us talking. We bring in special guests, listener questions, and wild interviews that might just blow your mind. Whether you're tuning in on Facebook, Twitch, or right here on YouTube, you're in for a mix of shock, laughs, and those wait, seriously, moments. So if your brain loves a good mystery, join us every week. Hit subscribe, drop your weirdest questions, and let's unravel the world together, one wild episode at a time. This is the Robert and Crew Show. See you on the other side.
Welcome back to the Robert and Crew Show. As always, I'm your host, Robert.
And I'm your podcast co-host, Crew.
And I'm your co-host, Julie.
And tonight, we're going over the wonderful world of Disney and Mickey and Donald and Goofy and the whole gang.
As in, we're doing the conspiracies of Walt and Mickey. Anybody in between in the Disney world.
Didn't that old bastard freeze himself?
So supposedly, it's all alleged, but we can't prove it, that he had his head preserved under the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Under the ride in Disney World, are we sure?
In a cryo chamber.
I always thought he was in like the statue, like the actual statue at Disney of him, like he was frozen and they put his body inside of there.
Well, so this is what he wanted, I guess. So supposedly that he wanted basically to be preserved in a cryo chamber so that way they could bring him back.
Yeah, so if they ever figured out cloning or figured out a way to turn back time and heal him, that he would come back. Hey, what's going on, Brandon? Long time no see.
Hey, Brandon. Now, speaking of which, did you ever notice certain pictures where he's doing this?
Yeah.
And you don't see anything in his fingers?
Yep.
Those are edited.
Yeah, apparently hiding a cigarette.
No, well, it's not okay. So here's why, because he had lung cancer.
Yeah.
Well, also, Walt wasn't supposed to be smoking in front of the kids or at Disney or anything like that. He wanted to keep a family-friendly persona.
Yeah,
So,
and like he didn't want anybody to be pronounced dead in Disney World.
Well,
No.
here's the thing, and here's the kicker about Disney World or Disneyland. If you die on the property, they do not pronounce you dead until you're off the property.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
Which sucks, and I don't know why. And what's really messed up, there's this couple, right?
Right.
This lady has a peanut allergy.
Yeah, no, I heard about this.
Yeah.
She like died in Disney Springs or something, and her husband tried to sue, and then they were like, "Oh, you can't sue us because you signed up for Disney Plus for a month, and you signed this contract that states you can never sue Disney." Like, what the actual fuck?
I know, that's crazy, isn't it? I'm
Where's
like,
my
we
freaking
didn't.
mind?
I mean, I got Disney Plus.
So you
But-
never seen Disney, Julie?
Huh?
I had Disney Plus, and I can't sue Disney.
Yeah, now none of us who got Disney Plus could ever sue Disney ever again.
Right.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
I
That's
know,
messed
right?
up. Yeah.
And I
And
went to the one in Florida for my 16th birthday.
I just went to the one in Florida like 2 years ago.
see, okay, if I'm gonna go to Florida or Florida and go to Orlando, I'm not gonna go to Disney.
I went to Universal too
I'm going to Universal, and here's why.
because of Harry
Can you get-
Potter World.
Yep,
Yeah,
both of
I
them,
already know.
both parks.
I already know.
Yeah,
And
I
I want
went
to. And the first thing I'm going to go for while I'm there, well, the first two things I'm going to go for while I'm there, getting me my own wand, try out the how they do that little interaction where the wand chooses the wizard
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
thing. I'm
interaction.
going to do that
I've
first,
seen that.
and then I'm going to go and order a butter beer.
Yeah, they're good.
I've heard they are, but I don't know.
They're fun. It's
But
expensive though.
yeah, I
It's
went to
not actual
Epcot.
beer, Julie. It's actually a sweet like one of those sweet
Like a cream soda.
yeah, cream soda basically.
Okay, cool.
You're a wizard, crew. That's what Brandon said.
And one of the things I do so one of the things I do want to get, I got them at Hallmark for my little sister. What I want to get for myself is get those chocolate frogs and see what cards I get.
Yeah, the chocolate frogs.
Yeah,
They're
and I'm
cool.
not even gonna eat the chocolate frogs. I'm just going for the card.
Right.
But besides that, we're getting off topic a little bit. Back to conspiracies. Now, speaking of messed up, this isn't really a conspiracy, but you brought this up a while back, Rob, about how Mickey was seeing a video using his what to put holes in cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found the video, but I didn't send it.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is disturbing. I'm not wanting to watch this, so I literally switched.
There was a whole segment where Donald Duck is used to give basically to promote the Fuhrer and like Adolf Hitler and all of that. Like no joke. Donald Duck has an entire episode about about Nazism.
Yeah.
Oh,
Walt
Speaking of
Disney was
that-
allegedly a Nazi.
so speaking of
And a FBI agent.
so you all know how Donald Duck is triggered very easily.
Yeah.
So remember the older episodes that used to play from the older days, and you
Yeah.
saw like Donald Duck in in the middle of a war.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why he acts like that, gets triggered very easily and snaps and yells at everybody.
Because he has PTSD.
Yep.
Yeah.
And another weird conspiracy, which is actually proven, each Disney princess is based off a disorder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like schizophrenia or multi-personality disorder or bipolar or no, I've heard that. I have heard that. And Alice is like instability. Yeah.
Yeah. And hey, if you're in character and you get hurt, you got to stay in character or in costume until you're off stage or away from the people, so the people watching don't get disturbed by it.
If you have heat stroke and die in your costume at Disney, I'm pretty sure they expect you to dance on your way to your coffin. Okay,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to die at Disney World. You're not allowed to have a horrible problem. I heard a horrible nightmarish story of a dude that threw up inside of his costume, and he still had 45 minutes left, and he threw up 2 more times, and he had to continue to perform in his throw up covered costume, like from the inside. That would be horrific.
Oh, for
That
sure.
would be
Oh my
horrific.
gosh.
And you're not allowed to take it off, and you have to keep breathing in your own like vomit and shit. That's disgusting. Like those poor people. Like, and I'm sure it's not like that anymore. I mean, I would hope not. But at the same time, like you never know. These corporations will do anything to stack up the money.
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
it's still true. In one of the videos I watched, they said once you're signed in, you gotta. It's still like that today.
So another thing is, um, so during Disney school, right? When the employees are being taught, the hand gestures,
Yeah.
they're not allowed to do this.
Imagine accidentally shitting yourself and you got to keep going, is what Brandon said.
And
Ew.
and they're told they're either supposed to do this or do this.
Could you imagine if you were in the Mickey costume and you were opting for a photo crew and you squatted down to opt for the photo with a 3-year-old and you shit your pants?
Oh God.
And you had to keep going. You have to just keep in character. Oh, my
I'd
man.
be disturbed. I'd be disturbed. Like I'd be embarrassed and disturbed for myself and for them.
Yeah.
But no, but yeah. So they'll
You better
ask.
hope it's winter time.
So yeah. So the whole hand gesture thing, right? So they'll ask what it actually means, and some will say it's a cultural thing, but some will actually say it's actually a cigarette thing.
Yeah, no, so
Yeah.
I believe it was probably them trying to censor Walt Disney smoking cigarettes, probably.
Yeah.
Did you know he lived at his own park? He lived at the park. He had a house above the fire station.
Yeah.
There's also secret clubs inside of Disneyland.
Oh, a really interesting fact. Um,
Club
the haunted,
34. Mhm.
the haunted ride.
Yeah, the
Haunted
Haunted
Mansion.
Mansion.
Yeah, haunted mansion. In there, you can act if you look very closely and you pay attention. You can actually see Walt Disney's wheelchair.
Dude,
Yeah.
a ton of people have basically got rid of and released their the people they love's ashes inside of that ride, inside of the
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion. So one
And
could say the
then
Haunted Mansion is probably actually haunted.
the Pirates of the Caribbean ride,
Had
they say
real human
actually
bones.
had real skeletons.
Yeah, real human bones were used in that
Yeah.
ride at one point. I
At one
believe they
point, I
changed
think
it.
they've changed it now, but
Yeah.
But um,
When it comes to Mickey Mouse, man, you know there was a mouse before Mickey.
yeah.
His name was Steamboat. Steamboat Willie.
Steamboat Willie.
Yeah. Steamboat Willie was Walt Disney's first character he ever made, he ever created.
Yep.
Steamboat Willie is the whole reason why Disney got as big as it did.
mhm.
So, with Steamboat Willie, what do you think there's got to be some kind of symbolism behind Steamboat Willie and Walt Disney's claim to fame? Because they used to call him the man of, is he the man or the mouse?
Right.
He literally made so much money with Mickey, who was originally Steamboat. But why didn't he keep the name Steamboat Willie? Why did he change it to Mickey Mouse?
That's what I've always wondered that myself.
Ask Rock. Let's ask Rock.
I think
Right.
I have an idea, but let's see what Grok says.
Grok, why did Walt Disney change the name Steamboat Willie to Mickey Mouse?
Oh, that's a fun one. Walt Disney didn't actually change the name. Mickey was already a name before the change. I assume the new name was meant to be more family friendly.
Why was Steamboat Willie not family friendly?
Well, the name Steamboat Willie might have sounded too industrial or specific for a character name in 1928. The name is a playful nod to American riverboats. Mickey's old name, Steamboat Mickey, was deemed more family friendly by Walt Disney than the word steamboat, which was seen as controversial at the time due to concerns about drug use in the main character. Disney changed it to Mickey Mouse to make the character sound less gruff and more charming, thereby making it more appropriate for children.
What drugs was Steamboat Willie using?
There's no solid evidence that Steamboat Willie or Mickey was using drugs. I think the name was just a playful choice by Walt Disney. It was probably meant to evoke a sense of fun, lighthearted mischief.
What are the top 10 conspiracies that revolve around Disney World?
Oh, there's some wild ones. Some folks think Walt Disney's head is still in a secret underground bunker at Disneyland. Others think his body was dumped into the Mississippi River. Some believe the park is so strict that no one knows it exists. Then there's the wacky one, where people think Walt Disney is still alive, running things from beyond the grave. So, which one do you believe?
Walt Disney is still alive, crew, running things from beyond the grave.
Oh,
Brandon says, my guess is because of the Mickey Mouse song, Hey Mickey, you're so fine, you're on my mind, hey Mickey. I don't think that's the same. I don't think that's about Mickey Mouse.
so I was doing a little digging on some conspiracies. So we're gonna go in the newer one, right? Moana. Now, who all knows the original Moana story?
Well, I mean, the original Moana story is Moana is she has to take lead of her tribe, but she doesn't know who she is or what she's supposed to do in life. So she finds the heart of the ocean or the soul of the ocean or whatever, and then ends up being stolen or something by some what is it, the dragon or whatever, the Tafiti or whatever its name is. I don't know. Either way, she has to team up with Maui, and they have to fight to get the heart of the ocean back to Tafiti and make everything better. That's all I know.
Okay,
I've seen the movie a million times.
The reason why the pig never gets eaten, because the pig is actually like a child to Maui and Moana's mother. Now, remember in the movie where Maui talks about how he turned an eel into a tree?
Yeah.
So originally, Moana's mother dealt with an eel in the original story. The eel was so infatuated with her mother that she asked Maui to handle the eel. So he killed the eel, buried it, and it became a palm tree.
All right.
Now, Moana is actually the daughter of not just her mother, but also Maui. And she becomes a demigod in the second film. They did.
Yeah.
She's not the daughter of Maui in the movie.
Right.
But
She's
she
the
is
daughter of her father, of the king.
Yes. So I'm like, when I learned all that, I'm like, wait a minute,
Her
what?
tribe chiefsman. Yeah. Brandon
So I'm
said,
like,
I know
Yeah.
it's not. I just wanted to hear Robert sing that song. Well, you're
Yeah, I
welcome.
got a chuckle. I was getting ready to say that. I was getting a chuckle out of that comment.
But yeah, so
What about the conspiracies that revolve around the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse?
I haven't heard any of those.
You don't know about Britney Spears being a part of the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and MK Ultra?
Oh, well, I knew she was part of the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Now the MK Ultra part, okay, she wouldn't have been the only one.
No, she wasn't the only one that went through MK Ultra via Disney
Christina Aguilera,
Clubhouse.
Justin Timberlake, and a few others. I can't think of who else, but those are the only three I can remember that got MK Ultra back in the day.
And then what about Walt Disney's his whole alignment with the Masons?
Yeah, and the FBI.
And
And hey, a interesting fact for you guys. I was named after a Mouseketeer.
A Mouseketeer?
Yes, my middle name anyway.
Where
Annette
you-
Funicello.
Yeah.
now that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I'll give you that, Julia. That is cool. But yeah, so with all those conspiracies, there is one. It's all alleged. I don't know if it's true, but there's this lady who dressed up as a maintenance worker, right?
Yeah.
Snuck in, dressed as a Disney maintenance worker, under the Pirates Caribbean ride into this vault. Or, no, well, I don't know if it was under that ride, but she snuck into a vault. And she saw Walt Disney's head preserved in a frozen, like cryogenic like thing. But what she said was she got evidence, she took a bunch of pictures and all that. And what she said she saw was it looked like his head was reanimated, moving on its own, like blinking and trying to talk.
Oh, that's crazy. That's creepy.
Yeah.
Another thing, I also saw where there was this guy that was cleaning up the Pirates ride for the night, and he was working in the basement part of it and trying to clean up, and he seen the ghost of Walt Disney, Walt, and he was younger, and he was looking at him, and he said after he'd seen that, he hightailed it out of there and didn't go. He
Oh.
didn't come back down at night.
How
Oh.
crazy that would be to run into Walt's ghost.
Oh, and another thing that I forgot to add on the story I was telling. Disney came out and basically said that nothing can be proven.
Yeah, because apparently, allegedly, I've heard a few different places say that he's been cremated.
Right.
And that he wasn't really preserved in a frozen vault.
But
But that ruins all the fun in the story, Julie.
yeah,
Don't
it
say
does.
things like that.
And but
Sorry.
another conspiracy I heard. You know that one ride that has all those like little miniature dolls?
Yeah, the Small World After All ride.
Yeah. So
I love
apparently
that
At
ride.
at
That was
night,
my
after
favorite
the
ride.
park is
I got
closing.
stuck on that ride. I got stuck on that ride. It was terrible.
So apparently, after dark, when the park is closing and people get stuck, those dolls come to life and run around the park and kidnap children.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Well, that's creepy. I don't even want to think about that. Brandon's got to get going. Have a good night, y'all. Have a good night, Brandon. Thanks for
Have a good night, Brendan.
stopping in and saying what's up.
But yeah,
Yeah, it's been a
so
while.
when I heard that, I was like, man,
You're gonna have to come on the
that's
show
creepy.
again soon, Brandon.
But yeah, apparently it gets deeper, right? In that story, that a dude hung himself on that ride.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And that's probably why the dolls run around the park, because he's haunting them.
That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I heard that, I'm like, creepy dolls. I don't like dolls. Never have. So I don't want to get stuck in the middle of the park at night.
No, yeah.
No, like you could ask Rob. I hate dolls. Like absolutely hate dolls.
Yeah, they're not fun.
Because there was one time Rob thought it would be funny. He and his wife and his son were living at this government housing place,
Yeah.
and they had this headless mannequin like thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob showed me a video of the headless mannequin moving on its own in the video
By itself.
by itself,
Wow.
its eyes, its mouth, and I'm like, "Yee." And I literally had a panic attack, and I almost ran out
Oh,
because
wow.
Rob knows how terrified I am of dolls,
Yeah.
and because okay, so when I was little, right, I had this Barney doll and this fire truck, this toy fire truck. And my mom will even say, "This is true. This is valid truth. This is true. This is not all alleged. This is absolute truth." And I was terrified for my life when I was little. So one night, I'm laying in bed.
And it went off?
Hold on. It gets weird. Okay, so Rob, you know that one room that was right across the bathroom upstairs?
Yeah.
The old house? That was my room when I was little.
Right.
And it's in the middle of the night, and I'm just getting ready to go to sleep, and I look in my window, the window right across the room,
I never did that.
and no, I literally, when I'm getting ready to close my eyes, right when I look out the window, and the top floor is above it's a 2-story house. You got a top floor, and you got the basement. Basement's not even connected into the ground. That's kind of house it is. So I look out the window, and I swear I see a reflection looking right back at me. And I'm little, and I swear up and down, it kind of looked like a robot reflection.
Right.
And like my own imagination messing with my mind. So I'm thinking I'm seeing R2D2. My mind's messing with me at night because it's dark and it's really late. Nobody's awake.
Yeah.
I'm the only one awake.
Overactive imagination is what I call it.
So as I'm getting ready to close my eyes because I'm freaking out, Barney starts singing. No one touched Barney.
God.
None of the cats. My bedroom door's wide open. No cats in there. I'm the only one in there. And then my fire truck goes off. I scream so loud, saying, "Mom, help." She runs from her room and sees it for herself. I about had a panic attack because that's how scary it was.
I bet.
So I've been traumatized of dolls ever since.
Right. No,
And toy fire trucks.
Dolls scare the shit out of me. I'm not a big fan of dolls.
No,
Now, if I do have a doll, when I was little, I ended up making sure they weren't animatronic type dolls. or not
Yeah.
animatronic. The dolls that have like a little like device in them that can make them speak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Furbies and shit.
Yeah. So, and you can ask Rob. I every single time we would go into like a toy store or a regular store, right? And this was before I stopped going to Walmart because I absolutely hate Walmart.
Me too. I hate Walmart too.
Um, we would walk in the toy aisle, see what toys they would have because we we're little kids at heart. Sometimes we like action figures.
Yeah. Yeah,
As
just
soon
like
as
I
we
like
get in the
wrestling.
doll aisle, I looked at Rob, shakes my head, and go. I turn and go to a different aisle.
Elm Streets says, I got my original username back. I'm happy. Congrats, Elm Street.
So yeah, and Rob would do that on purpose because he wanted to see how I would function in the freaking doll aisle.
Oh boy.
Elmster.
Elfster.
Elmster. It sounds like a rapper name. Elmster's in the house. Drop that beat, crew. Elmster's gonna drop a rap.
But yeah, um, Rob, tell Julie and everybody else the craziest shit you've done with dolls when it came to me.
Craziest thing to dolls? Well, no, like for if I'm gonna tell you guys a story about dolls, like the first story I gotta say is when I was a lot younger, when I was probably like 7 or 8 years old, my mom would take me over to my grandmother's house. Okay, and I had to sleep in her guest room. Her guest room was the doll room. There was 175 plus different kinds of dolls all
Oh
on
my goodness.
shelves inside of this room with a bed in the middle of the room. There was a giant Wicked Witch of the West doll from the Wizard of Oz. It looked exactly like the Wicked Witch of the West or whatever, and
Yeah.
it looked nasty and gnarly. And I remember waking up as a child at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning and seeing the witch doll moving by itself on the floor. And I jumped up so fast and kicked that fucking doll over and ran down the stairs and cried outside my grandma's room. My grandma said I could sleep on the couch that night. I went back upstairs the next morning to put the doll back up because I knew I kicked it over. And guess what? The doll was standing back up in its original place, and nobody had been up in that room. And that was only my first experience in that room with the dolls. I had 3 more experiences in that room with the dolls. And
Wow.
one of them was so you know what China dolls are? Like these little China
Yeah.
dolls that with like curly hair, they look really pretty, they're very expensive. Well, there was this one China doll that sometimes at night when I would have to stay over there, I swear I would hear it whisper to me. Like it would say my name, or it would say things like open up your eyes, or it would be like we have to go downstairs. It would scare the absolute shit out of me as a
I
child.
bet. And hey, as a teenager, I ended up having about 3 dolls, and they were kind of creepy, but they never did do anything. But the one was kind of like a schoolgirl, and it had its own little desk.
Right.
And I don't have no dolls anymore, but because all the moving around and stuff I've done. And I used to have some snow globes. That was my collection, but anyway, they were still kind of creepy anyway.
My grandmother's dolls were the worst. And I remember like I wasn't even the only, so my second one, did I tell you my second one? I told you the first one. The second story is I had to sleep in that room a second time. Oh yeah, no, I did tell you. It's the China doll that would talk to. I
Yeah.
felt like it talked to me. It would whisper things. Third story in that room. The third and final story I have about that room is I woke up one night and I shit you not, I had sleep paralysis, right? And I woke up and I heard things like shuffling around me on the ground, but I couldn't move my head. Well, I was like stuck in the same position and I felt something hop up onto the bed. It still gives
Oh,
me chills thinking about it to this
oh,
day. Still gives me chills.
I bet.
It was a Raggedy Ann doll. And it hopped up on the bed and it looked at me and it goes, and then it like hopped down off the bed and ran back to its spot and then I could move. And I got up and I looked at the doll and I got so scared. Like I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah, that just,
Me
It
too.
oh.
scared
Oh,
the shit out of me.
Okay. All
And that
right,
was
let's
the
get
third
back
and
to
final
Disney.
experience. But no, that was my
Hey,
third and final experience I ever had
oh.
in that doll room.
we
I
got
never
comments.
I never want to deal with that ever again.
All right. We have. Let's see. Elm Street
He
goes.
said
I
he
used
used
to
to be
drop
rapper.
some bars. Won't lie. Felt like Eminem. I got no doll stories. Won't lie. And then he said, "Well, that's your first problem. Why you sleeping next to the dolls?"
My
Okay.
grandmother and my mom made me sleep in that room. It was called the guest room, but it was my grandmother's doll room. It was a
So
room that was completely filled with dolls, and they were all on shelves, and they were all different kind of dolls.
okay. So this story that Rob did not mention. I was gonna have him mention. I guess I'll go and mention. So this was over the summer when he stayed over, and he saw that my mom had a collection of porcelain dolls. So he thought it'd be funny because he knows how terrified of dolls I am. In the middle of the night, and I was sleeping. I lived in the basement at the time. In the middle of the night, he thought it'd be funny to put the three porcelain dolls on my bed,
Yeah, I made
one
it
by
so
my head,
they were all sitting like circled around him.
one by my head, one on my stomach, and one at my feet.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, Trayton, wake up. I woke up and I'm frozen in fear, not being able to move. Like I was in sleep paralysis, but I wasn't. I literally, I looked at Rob with my eyes, and I looked at the dolls, and I literally about I had a panic attack, and I was like, "Well, you can explain it better."
No, you just freaked out. You
Yeah.
just like laid there and freaked out. And I was like, I apologized to him a whole bunch. You didn't want to talk to me for like 2 hours.
Yeah,
And
hey, Elm said that you're the Neburu crew, afraid of dolls.
And when I told Rob about my story about, and I explained him why I was terrified of dolls, after
yeah, he
two
just
hours,
called
I
you out, bro. He said, you're not the real crew. You are never a crew because you asked me to explain the real crew's story better.
okay,
Oh,
yeah,
well.
okay. Look, I am the
You know
real
he's
crew.
wearing gloves, Elmsta. You see how he's wearing gloves?
I'm wearing. Okay, I'll explain why I'm wearing
Not the
gloves
real
outside.
crew.
Okay, look, I'm in a porch, an inside porch with the
When
windows
have you
open.
ever seen the real crew wear black gloves ever?
I'm okay. Look, I'm wearing gloves because freaking I have a window right here that's open. See, it's
Yeah.
open.
Uh-huh.
So I have it open, and then I have another window open right here
Uh-huh.
to cool it down in here because it gets really humid
Yeah.
with the windows shut and the door and the screen door shut. So if I don't keep anything open, it feels like 100 degrees in here. So, and the reason why I'm wearing gloves is because it's mosquito season, and mosquitoes like to freaking bite the ever living hell out of me.
Yeah, they love you.
So, like
Elmsta
literally,
said you skipping the whole point until now.
so I'm having to wear gloves to protect my hands because they like to go after my hands, and I'm not having it. Like they were
Crew,
messing with me last night, and I couldn't find my freaking gloves because
crew.
I
We're done with the dolls. Give us some more of these conspiracies about Disney.
More conspiracies about Disney. Ooh, Peter Pan.
What about Peter Pan?
Okay. Apparently, Peter Pan was actually the bad guy, the villain of the story. He would be the one kidnapping the children. Captain
Right.
Hook was actually the hero trying to rescue the children.
That's definitely crazy.
Yeah. I did not know that.
No, that's I've heard that Peter Pan was a weirdo though.
Yeah, me
I've heard
too.
that before.
Apparently he's actually a demon.
Yeah.
And
Oh, Pazuzu.
another conspiracy,
He said just with the hook.
another
LOL.
conspiracy that I always try to figure this out, right? So if you don't pay attention into a lot of the original and some of the newer Disney films like Pixar and the animated ones,
Right.
there's a lot of demonic and sexual symbolism in all the movies.
Yeah, for sure. They have it in almost all Disney films.
Right. Like so remember that one scene where it shows I don't remember if it's Puma or Mufasa when he like lays down and you see all that
The
dust.
dust and it spells sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Little Mermaid's original VHS cover, the castle was a giant dildo.
Yeah. And then there's a
Yeah.
oh gosh, what was that one film? Oh, there I think okay, the Rescuers, right?
Elmsta said you should see how they made Disney World. Crazy conspiracies there. They also have a secret room at Disney lands called Room 53 or something. I forgot.
Yeah. So I think it's the movie Rescuers that I'm thinking of. I don't know if I'm right or right, so I'm just gonna say the Rescuers. There's a scene, if you pay
Yeah,
very close attention to that scene, you could see in a window.
naked lady.
Well, no, not well that, but there's also looks like a girl giving a a blowjob to a guy.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen that before.
Elmster said that have you heard about the secret room 53?
Yeah, we just talked about that, Julie.
It's
No,
club.
well,
It's club something. It's club 33.
33, okay.
And
Secret Club 33, Disneyland.
It's a cult room.
Yeah, Club 33. Club 33 is a highly exclusive members-only club within Disneyland and Walt Disney World, founded by Walt Disney. It offers a unique experience, including fine dining and access to exclusive areas. Membership is by invitation only and is notoriously difficult to obtain, let alone find the entrance. Club 33 was conceived by Walt Disney himself as a place to entertain VIP guests and corporate sponsors. Barely anybody saw the inside of it. It opened in 1967, shortly after his death, and was the first place in Disneyland to serve alcohol, according to some sources. In Disneyland, it's located above the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in New Orleans Square, and the entrance is now the Court of Angels. The only way you can find it is a distinct location labeled 33.
Yeah.
Getting an invitation to Club 33 is going to cost you around $25,000 to $100,000.
That's totally expensive.
so you have to pay to get invited.
Yes,
Pretty much.
That's stupid.
$25,000 to $100,000.
Yeah. What do you think about Bambi?
I
Because I know there's probably one over Bambi.
think Bambi is sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
It's very sad with the mother dying. That's the saddest part.
I think it was a way to make children cry.
No, let's talk about Pixar real quick. Pixar conspiracy. So, did you know each movie is connected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that freaking Toy Story pizza car is in almost like every movie.
Yeah. Now, since we're on the Toy Story subject, real quick, did you know that you know how Andy's dad's never seen?
He said, "Look up the 21 hidden sex references in Disney movies."
But yeah, you notice how Andy from Toy Story, the owner of Woody and all them,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know how his dad is never seen or mentioned in the movie?
Yeah.
Yep.
Andy's dad is Woody. Andy's dad's spirit is in Woody. And Jessie, you know, the toy, used to belong to Andy's mom when she was a kid.
Yeah.
Because if you've seen in the second
Yeah,
film,
Elmsta, we've been on live for a while now. Yeah, we were actually talking about the sex references in Disney movies for a little bit there. We talked about how in The Lion King they lay down and dust or pollen or whatever blows up into the sky and it says sex. And then we've talked about how the Little Mermaid's castle in the original VHS is just a giant dildo. And how, yeah, the Disney stuff, man, the sexualization of Disney movies is absolutely insane.
yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, so fuck, what was that? What was I on again? Because now I lost my.
You were just talking about, oh my God, now I'm blanking.
Oh, Pixar,
Yeah,
Pixar, Toy
Pixar.
Story. That's what it was. Okay, Jesse. Now in the second film, you know in that scene where it shows Jesse's original owner that was a girl with that cowgirl hat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If you paid attention in
Andy's
the
mom.
first one and the second one,
It's Andy's mom.
yeah, Andy has the same hat.
Yep.
So they're specifically saying that Jesse's original owner was Andy's mom, and she never once says anything about having Jesse.
No, because she forgets. As an adult, they don't remember.
Right.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the whole thing, is that the mom, she couldn't remember. But anyways, we're getting to about the 48-minute mark. We need to get on to our videos. And we got one real quick from our sponsor, I believe.
Okay.
I don't think people understand just how messy Bigfoot gets. Mud, moss, mystery stains. His laundry's legendary. But now he's got a secret weapon. Watch as Bigfoot wrestles a puny detergent. Oops, there goes the cap. Enter Sasquatch Suds. With Yeti-strength cleaning power and pine-scented freshness, even his fluffiest fur sparkles. Now, Bigfoot struts past campers. Wait, is that envy or just amazement? Sasquatch Suds, for fur and duds.
You better have gotten your Sasquatch Suds crew.
I have.
You better have.
I got about 40 this week.
Good. Keep the
What
brain
about you,
open.
Julie?
Oh yeah, plenty.
How many did you get?
About 20. Elf just said Walt Disney is just hella secretive too.
Yeah,
And
the
not
squad.
the Sasquatch.
The squad. We're going
Not the
hunting,
squad.
Elmsta. We're going hunting.
Dark Things Disney Doesn't Want You to Know, Part 16. So today, let's expose one of Disney's very dark policies. So this policy involves all the character actors at Disney. So if you get severely injured while working there, no matter what, you have to stay in character. So one man, before accepting the job as Water Goofy, was told that in an event that he started drowning, lifeguards had to carry him away before they could remove his costume and perform CPR on him. He literally could be dying in the costume and need medical attention right away, but Disney won't allow it. Like I said, all characters need to be carried away before any sort of medical attention can be provided. Okay, I get it. They do this in order to preserve the magic at Disney. But come on, that is severely messed up. In fact, because of this policy, a lot of character actors have been severely injured and have gone on to sue Disney. If you want to see more videos like this, then follow me on YouTube. Link in bio.
Oh yeah, I bet there's plenty of lawsuits there. Hopefully none of them got Disney Plus.
I've had more ghost experiences, I think, at Winnie the Pooh, working Winnie the Pooh, than I've had working at the Haunted Mansion. The craziest one I ever had was I had to hit the emergency stop on the ride. We were adding or removing a vehicle, and I looked at the cameras that we have, and I saw an old woman, like, just walking by a vehicle. There were guests on the vehicle.
This is inside the ride.
This is inside the ride, and I just immediately, like, hit the emergency stop, and I go, oh, emergency stop, there's a woman inside. Like, someone jumped off the ride, and they're inside.
I see, yeah.
So they do a full evac. They evacuate the whole ride, get everyone out, and then they walk through, and they're like, no guests saw that there was a lady in there.
You didn't see her coming out from, like,
no,
the
but
evac?
nobody came out. It wasn't any of the guests that we saw. We did the whole evac, and they're like, okay, that's fine. Like, you're okay. You saw someone. An hour later, I'm on break. The ride goes down again. Like, what are we down for? And my coworker was like, I saw a woman walking by the maintenance bay.
Oh, man.
And I was like, we saw the same thing.
The ghosts of Disneyland and Disney World.
Yep.
Because you know how, like, Disney is supposed to be for the kids. So when they were coming up, they're like, Walt Disney is a smoker. Like, he goes through 3 packs per day. Damn. He even died of lung cancer. That's how bad it was.
Crazy, yeah.
So, like, he kept, in all the photos, like, I'll put it up on the screen, but he's doing this 2-point thing, right?
So every photo of him has the 2 points, and it's because he has a cigarette.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, though. It's like a hidden detail.
And they took it a step further. So every Disney employee, when you ask them, oh, can you lead me? Where's the direction for the bathroom? They taught them to only point with 2 fingers.
Oh, to make it normal.
Yeah, to make it normal. Instead of going like this, they'll point this way.
Yeah, we was just talking about that, how Disney got called out for always smoking cigarettes.
Exposing Walt Disney, Part 2.
Here in Roger Rabbit, you have baby Herman going round looking up the women's skirts. There is another part in Roger Rabbit where this character's private parts were shown. This particular scene looks very disturbing and sick. This is what they show your children. Now look at this. Look at the child's drawing on the wall. What does that look like to you? You may think it's fake, but now look at this. Now you tell me if this is real or fake.
Kitty.
Now you tell me your thoughts on this. Disney have now altered it on later releases once it was highlighted.
Well, it's obviously a crayon drawing of her mother being absolutely reamed by the dad. No, yeah, that's a little disturbing. Come on,
Yeah,
Disney.
Elmster had a question. He said, wait, look up Walt Disney's religion. What even is that religion? Congregational church. And then he said, "Now I saw OG Roger Rabbit. That's not true."
So Walt Disney was he was a Congregationalist Christian. Walt Disney was a devoted Congregationalist Christian following his family's religion. Although his time in the church warned in adulthood, his faith had large influence on his life work and film producer, director, animator, and co-founder of Disney. A Congregationalist Christian. I don't even know what that means, Elmstead. I don't know what Congregationalist Christian means.
The movie Frozen was a major cover-up for something sinister. After the death of Walt Disney, it was rumored that his body was cryogenically frozen and hidden in Disneyland, underneath the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. It wasn't a secret that Walt Disney himself was obsessed with cryogenics, and that he had a strong belief that in the future, there would be technology with the ability to reawaken his conscience. He was convinced that if he were to freeze his body, he would be able to experience the future. It was alleged that a Disneyland worker actually found his frozen body and took a picture of it, which he then leaked onto the internet. This meant that anytime someone would search Frozen and Disney, in the same sentence the image would appear. But of course the Disney Corporation didn't want anyone to know about this, so to cover it up, they created the popular movie Frozen to change the internet's search algorithm. So now anytime someone searches these keywords, they end up seeing the joyful musical rather than Walt Disney's supposed frozen body. Could this be true?
If that is true, that would be absolutely ingenious.
Right.
Elmstead said that that doesn't sit well with him at all.
Walt Disney had a house no one was allowed to enter, and nothing inside was meant to ever be found. This might sound like a conspiracy theory, but recently leaked info has people seriously talking. There's an old house on the outskirts of New York that supposedly belonged to Walt Disney. But here's the strange part. No one had been allowed inside for over 60 years. It's said that Disney once told a close friend, "That house is mine. I don't want anyone else ever going in." Recently, the CIA reportedly got official clearance to finally enter the property, after suspicions that classified materials might be inside from the Cold War era. What they found? Dozens of locked cabinets filled with old journals, sketches, and files, most written by Disney himself. Some of the documents described experiments in human psychology, strange coded messages, and connections to secret government projects. One file even had a list of 50-plus subjects, with notes next to their names. No one really knows what it means yet. There were also reports of Disney traveling to this house alone for years without telling anyone what he did there. It turns out the man who built a kingdom of dreams might have had a few nightmares of his own.
Undercover Fed.
Right.
Disney, bro. Disneyland. Oh, the dark side of Disney? The dark side, or like the dark ages of Disney. Back in like the mid 90s, early 2000s, they would have like a lot of malfunctions with rides, that's bloody period of time or whatever. And like they wouldn't really do anything about it. They would just try to cover everything up because
they want to have the reputation that
it's like a happy ass place to be, whatever. But I'm gonna talk about two cases. It was a worker who was dressed in the Pluto costume. He was 30 years old and he's been working there for like 8 years. During the parade of Beauty and the Beast, he got ran over by one of the...
What, you're talking about like the parade shit?
The float, yeah. He got ran over by that and tried to cover it up. And another thing too that I didn't know is that back then, like, they weren't allowed to call 911.
Nah, yeah, they wasn't, bro. They had to wait till they left the park, or if anybody died or anything like that, they would report it outside of the park, bro. They would never say that they got into an accident inside the park or got hurt inside the park.
And there was another case. There's this boat that when it docks, right? It's supposed to dock slow and nice, but this one keeps docking fast. And a lot of staff members, a lot of people would complain about it, saying like, this shit needs to be worked on, it needs maintenance, but they would just ignore it because like, it's fine, don't worry about it. And there was one time where it was docking, an employee that was outside where the dock is at saw a rope, tied the rope onto a pole, and that ended up, since the ship was going too fast, it was pulling the rope tight. It ended up taking a chunk out of the boat, which ended up
somebody's face,
flying into somebody's face, ended up killing them. They tried to cover that up because when the investigators came to see what the fuck happened,
they said that he jumped off or some shit.
They basically stalled them for 4 hours while they had Disney employees clean up the mess so it would look like nothing really happened.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
When you were talking about this whole dark age and shit, I thought you were gonna mention like, if you see the old like Mickey costumes, you could put it up and shit. Like they look mad creepy and stuff.
You ever seen that video of
Ugh, that's horrible. Could you imagine a giant piece of wood flying off of a ship and going into your face, and that's how you die?
No.
That just, oh no.
Says Elm Street says, oh, also if you play a character at Disneyland, no one can know you play that character at the theme park. Yeah, I've heard that too.
I think the scariest story I've heard of Disneyland, I don't know if you guys have heard this, supposedly, if you're still there after closing time, the little puppets from It's a Small World, they start running around the park and they take kids.
Stop. I went inside.
Isn't it creepy?
Creepy.
You know, supposedly a worker hung himself in there?
What? I heard about that. It was a while back.
Yeah, it was a
Why
while
didn't
back.
y'all tell me this before? I was kind of looking for the brown kids and they only had one. And I was like, where are the Mexicans at?
No
because you know they're going through the world and they only got that one kid. I was like,
they should make a Peso Pluma.
Oh, they should.
A Peso Pluma puppet and That's a Small World.
Doing his dance in there. Just hide him in there with a little hair.
Elmstead says, if you tell anyone you get fired, it happened to the Little Mermaid recently, or another character, I forget. Yeah, no, I believe it, because they don't want you to try to get famous off of being a character at the park.
Yeah.
Using Disney to make money of your own.
Right.
There is a secret side of Disney World the company doesn't want you to see. If you look at a map of the park, there's a little green spot in the middle of Bay Lake. Now, there's no description of what it is, and it's completely off limits to everyone, including employees. Around 20 years ago, this mysterious island was actually another Disney park called Discovery Island. You'd take a boat from shore, arrive at the island, and basically look at exotic birds. Fast forward to 1999, Animal Kingdom opens, and it's basically a bigger and easier to get to version of Discovery Island. This sparked the very quick decline of the island. Today, it's abandoned and in ruins, completely overrun by nature. It's also heavily guarded. If you're anywhere near Bay Lake, you can be assured that you're being watched. It makes you wonder if there's more to this island than Disney is letting on.
Elmstead says, and that's why none of the characters talk. They don't want to ruin the image of the character. Exactly. And with Discovery Island, I actually have heard the main reason why Disney doesn't want you going to that island is because they didn't relocate all of the birds that were once on that island, and there are still some birds that are rare and protected that live on said island, and that's the excuse on why they don't want you going there. But the real reason is supposedly there's some secret stuff that Disney has hidden there themselves, and people have tried to go there and basically expose it, but they always get caught.
Yeah.
Exposing Walt Disney.
We already watched that one.
I think the scariest
There's this creepy legend about a secret Disney park called Duck Pond. It was supposed to be the most unique of all the Disney parks because it was located underneath a pond. The premise was that it was entirely about Donald Duck. So they had his character walking around everywhere. All the rides and snacks were Donald Duck themed. Well, one day something went very wrong and Disney decided to close the park for good. They also tried to hide it forever so nobody would ever know about its existence. Apparently, children started to go missing, and the rumor was that one of the employees in the Donald Duck costume was stealing them. But because there were so many duck costumes, they had no idea which employee was the culprit. And like I said, because of all these strange things happening there, they had to close down the park. Now, this is supposedly just a rumor, a legend, a creepypasta, if you will, but I'm always so intrigued to hear about secret Disney parks because it is pretty scary.
But yeah, that same guy that you said, same video, I sent you part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Disney Castle was never made for kids. People think it's a symbol of magic and dreams, but the deeper story is eerie. Walt Disney studied base design and built the park like a fortress. The castle is based on Neuschwanstein, a real barbarian stronghold built to intimidate and impress. In Disneyland, every path you take leads you to it. You're drawn in without ever realizing. It's called a weenie in theme park design, a visual lure to guide and manipulate movement. Even the colors are calculated. Pink and blues to trigger childhood, comfort, and lower your guard. You think it's there just to take cool photos, but in actuality, the castle makes you feel small, like something greater is watching you. Walt Disney built a kingdom to lure kids in and entice adults to stay. Follow if you can see why there's so many Disney adults now.
Street said, "No kid going with that duck. A fortress. Come on, laugh my ass off. That should crumble with one V-bomb."
The lies that Disney tells to avoid traumatizing children. Pocahontas. She was 10 years old, and he was 27. She called him Father. Sleeping Beauty. It is based on a story where a married king finds a sleeping princess. And the princess gave birth to a pair of twins while she was sleeping. The Little Mermaid. The prince married another. And the Little Mermaid turned into Osseo foam.
What's a CO foam?
I don't know. And I never heard that story about her having twins. Where'd that come from?
I don't know. I feel like that whole video was crap.
Yeah.
Look up on Grok about the Little Mermaid one, real quick. I want to know about that. I never heard about that either.
What did it say?
CO foam.
What does it mean by the Little Mermaid turned into a CO foam?
That's from Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale. When the Little Mermaid doesn't win the prince's love and marry him, her deal with the sea witch kicks in. Instead of getting a human soul, she dissolves into sea foam upon the waves at sunrise. It's a poetic, tragic way of saying she ceases to exist as a mermaid or human, becoming part of the ocean itself, symbolizing her sacrifice and unfulfilled love.
She died.
Yeah.
This is the saddest Disney conspiracy you'll ever hear. Allegedly, part of the Haunted Mansion was designed specifically to embarrass a musician that Walt Disney personally hated. In the 1960s, Charlie Martin was a clarinet player in the Disneyland band who had a reputation for being a little too friendly with Walt's wife, Lillian. When Walt heard about the flirting, he demanded that all clarinet solos be removed from Disneyland band performances, a rule that still exists to this day. Even the Main Street Music Shop has a reference to the incident, displaying a deconstructed clarinet in the window. But the most absurd retribution Walt took was in designing the Haunted Mansion. Charlie's likeness was allegedly used in the concept art of the stretching portraits, specifically the portrait showing a man in his undergarments. Walt also insisted on including a clarinet in Madame Leota's seance parlor. Unlike the other instruments, which play solos and light up, the clarinet is never heard and is always kept in the dark. Only eagle-eyed fans can spot it dancing silently in the blackness. That's why...
So Walt Disney hated clarinet players.
Yeah. Hey, you know that Madame Leona?
Madame Leone, yeah.
Yeah. The lady that does her voice, they actually have her picture, her face likeness in that glass ball.
Yeah,
Right.
I always thought that was pretty neat.
that is pretty cool.
Yeah,
And I like her voice. That is pretty cool.
Now I'm sneaking in my clarinet.
Yeah.
And Elps also said, think about Disneyland and where it's built actually. I didn't even realize it's basically two of the worst places to build a theme park. Florida swamps and LA, which is a desert.
Yeah. He
100%,
said earlier
dude. Worst
that
places
he's
in the world
only
to build
been
a
to the
theme
one
park.
But we saw
He
this
said
thing.
only
What,
been to
Julie?
California. I'm sorry. I was trying to say he said earlier that he's only been to the California one.
Yeah, no, I've only been to the one in Florida.
Same here.
But we saw this thing where all these pictures of Walt Disney World, his fingers are always like this.
Mm-hmm.
The rumor is that Disney went in to every single picture of Walt Disney and edited out him holding a cigarette.
Yeah.
And then you pointed out to me at Disney, all the cast members.
Wait. Whenever you're going down a hallway to direct them,
It's not a cigarette thing, though.
Why not?
why wouldn't it be?
Well,
Why do you wave like this?
What we were trained to do is
She did work for Disney too.
it's a cultural thing because this is offensive in some cultures. You do this or you do this with a whole. I did do the Disney college classes, and one of my professors did say it had something to do with the cigarettes.
It has to. It absolutely has to.
What are you doing? Like a roundabout way to agree.
Absolutely has to.
Because all
The
these
official
things of, like,
training is because of culture.
Well, yeah, because they're not going to say anything about it.
yeah,
I'm
because
saying
all
that.
these like really famous pictures of Walt Disney, he always had a cigarette.
Yeah, but it's not like he smoked cigarettes so much that he probably like died from them, right?
Did you not know? He had lung cancer.
He had lung cancer, which is sad, but it's definitely why they do it. 100%.
Yeah, it's what makes the most sense in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Side of Disney World the company doesn't want you to see. If you look at a map of the park, there's a little green spot in the middle of Bay Lake. There's no description of what it is, and it's completely off limits to everyone, including employees. Around 20 years ago, this mysterious island was actually another Disney park called Discovery Island. You'd take a boat from shore, arrive at the island, and basically look at exotic birds. Fast forward to 1999, Animal Kingdom opens, and it's basically a bigger and easier to get to version of Discovery Island. This sparked the very quick decline of the island. Today, it's abandoned and in ruins, completely overrun by nature. It's also heavily guarded. If you're anywhere near Bay Lake, you can be assured that you're being watched. It makes you wonder if there's more to this island than Disney is.
You sent that to me twice, bro.
I didn't realize, my bad.
Things we were not meant to see.
I've been freaking trying to get out
Walking
here for the
into
last, like,
Disney's
10,
secret
15 minutes.
room.
No, I just freaking tried to go to the bathroom and I found myself in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I'm a guest. It's my card. Let me get Carolyn to help me.
Yeah.
Okay.
How did you get back here?
I just opened a random door, and next thing you know, I'm in here. What is that?
This is just an old building. I'll walk you out.
Okay.
This needs to get the right person to do it.
Man, talking about stairwell after door after sheesh. What is this place? Whoa. What is this? This big empty area in here. Hello, can you help me out?
Yes.
Please.
You're trying to get out of here?
Yes. Ooh.
Yes, we've got a nice elevator. How'd you find your way up here? You're not even sure?
I have no clue.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I think this is right here. I'm gonna say the second floor. We're gonna find out.
That dude damn well knows how he got there.
Yeah.
What was that little area he found that looked like it had kids' playthings in it?
I don't know.
Maybe like a play place for like children that are like whose parents work at Disneyland. I don't know. That was weird.
That's possibility.
Right.
Who knows?
This is the true origins of Mickey Mouse. It is said that Walt Disney's drive for perfection took a dark turn during the 1920s. As the pressure to create a beloved mascot grew, Disney allegedly turned to unethical psychological experiments on his animation team. Early animators were locked in rooms for days, deprived of sleep, and subjected to disturbing visuals to spark creativity. One animator, obsessed with the character, reportedly drew hundreds of grotesque versions of Mickey elongated limbs, haunting grins before suffering a mental breakdown. Rumors suggest that a particular test film, known only as Mouse.avi, surfaced, featuring Mickey walking endlessly through dark corridors with a distorted grin as unsettling whispers filled the background. Several who viewed the film claimed to have nightmares, and some even disappeared without explanation.
Wow. That's kind of a creepy vibe.
Oh yeah. Just a second, guys.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay, that was weird. I have no clue what happened there. I'm so sorry. We had just watched one of these. Which one was it? Was it this one?
This is the true origins.
Is it that one?
Did
Okay.
you know that every Disney princess is supposed to represent a dark disorder? This is the Disney princess theory. Now, what's interesting about this theory is, yes, it is a conspiracy. However, a number of psychologists actually done a study and proved that it's quite correct. Let's start with Frozen. We have Elsa and we have Anna. One is warm, happy, and very impulsive, where one is cold and impulsive, which is a massive sign of bipolar disorder. Stick with me here. What about the Little Mermaid? Ariel is absolutely obsessed with collecting things. She collects things from the sea and struggles to part with them. She's hoarding, which is a massive form of OCD. Beauty and the Beast. Belle, essentially, has been locked captive by the Beast, but eventually falls in love with him, which is Stockholm Syndrome, where you fall in love with your captor. And what about Alice in Wonderland? She sees talking cats, has tea parties with rabbits, and seems to be on a constant psychedelic trip, which is a massive sign of schizophrenia. What do you think? Because I think this theory could be quite true.
In Donald Duck, you know that.
So what do you feel about those?
I
It's a
mean,
possibility.
it all makes sense.
It does.
The Alice in Wonderland one is just like, it always made me wonder, like, did Walt have an infatuation with like mushrooms and psychedelics? And then you remember that like Alice in Wonderland wasn't made by Disney, it was made by a guy who wrote that book. I always forget his name. He's oh my goodness, what was his name?
Oh shoot. Oh my goodness. I just heard it recently. But I've heard that the niece of the guy that wrote that book
Yeah.
actually came to the States and met I think she met Walt, or she was able to come and to the States because she's originally from England.
Right.
And it was about her. The book was about her adventures and stuff.
Lewis Carroll wrote Alice in Wonderland. Lewis Carroll wrote it.
Okay.
What was Disney's net worth and who runs Disney now? Interesting. Let me ask. Disney's net worth is currently $222.92 billion, and it is and it's ran by the Walt Disney Company. Today, it is founded by Robert Iger or Bob Iger. Alice is a girl that met her dad's church while he worked there and tried to marry her sister. Disturbing.
No, that is. Wow.
In Donald Duck, you know that the show where it's like there was 3 kids of Donald.
Yeah. That's the nephews.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So there was a scene where they were in an eye doctor's office. But there's a hidden detail that a lot of men that didn't catch it when we were growing up. So in the back, you know that paper that they stick on the wall and then you have to say the letters and it gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
It's just like A, B, C, D, right? It's spelt out. Ask about Illuminati on the back. Wow, so the whole scene where it's just staring at the film while the guy's just like talking.
Yeah.
It's in the back.
It says that in the wording?
In the wording.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Elm just said that.
Yeah, that they took naked photos of them without their parents' permission, and which are still public photos to this day.
Wow.
They say Mickey Mouse was created in 1928. But the truth? Mickey wasn't created. He was found. Walt Disney discovered an ancient sketch, etched on the wall of an abandoned asylum. They copied it, marketed it, but something came with it. That smile, it's not friendly, it's a seal to trap laughter and souls. Why do you think Disneyland is called the happiest place on earth? Because once you enter, you never really leave.
Ooh, creepy.
I don't know if you guys have ever had a Mickey Mouse cup. You have a cup that has stuff written on the inside. A Mickey Mouse cup specifically has Mickey written on the inside. And when you're drinking liquids, you can see the reflection on the surface of the liquid. And the reflection actually says wicked.
You think that was premeditated?
Yes.
You think that's why Walt named his infamous character Mickey?
Yes.
Did it catch you off guard?
No, I had always known in my gully that Mickey was wicked, just filthy. You can actually see Mickey in a factory in one of his episodes where he's making Swiss cheese. And basically what he's doing is there's a conveyor belt and he's taking each one of these blocks of cheese and he's putting it up to his area 1 and poking a hole through the cheese with it. So he's actually going like this to the cheese. And
he's making the Swiss.
Yeah, he's making holes in the cheese with his...
The Swiss cheese incident.
Yeah. Now, I've heard of the name comparison thing.
The Mickey and the Wicked.
Yes, I've heard of that before.
Exposing Walt Disney, Part 1.
Look closely what the owl is doing. And why does the tree have devil horns? Here's another look. This is the Lion King. Watch the smoke in the sky. Notice anything strange written in it. What does that say? Look closely. If you notice it, go back and have another look. Notice the shadow. Doesn't that look very strange? Why has Disney made his head shaped like that? Looks very inappropriate to me.
Because they're a bunch of sick and twisted bastards, that's why. And yes, Elmsta, Walt Disney was very anti-Semitic. Supposedly was a Hitler dick rider. But that's just what I was told, is that Disney was very into Adolf Hitler and his movement. And same thing with Henry Ford and a couple other people that resided here in the States. There were multiple things back in the day with Donald Duck involving the Nazi Party and a couple other characters from Disney. So, yes, to say the least, Walt Disney definitely supported the Nazi Party. And he also said, I'm pretty sure Walt Disney made Shylock carbons. What's that? Weird. So Roden and Walt, wonder what other famous cartoon people. I don't know. Probably quite a few, actually.
The missing children of Disneyland. What if the real magic of Disneyland is making people disappear without a trace? Let me know in the comments rumors you might have heard about Disneyland. For decades, rumors have circulated that children have gone missing inside Disneyland, and no one ever hears about it. No news that no Amber Alerts. No viral posts. Why? Because Disney has the power to erase it. Insiders claim that there's an entire crisis protocol designed to cover up disappearances, using
encrypted radios, secret tunnels, decoy costumed characters to block crowds. Some cast members even say there's a phrase security uses when a child is taken. Code White, secure the tunnels. Where do they go? Beneath Disneyland is a vast underground system called the utilidors. Officially, they're for moving staff and supplies. But parts are restricted, even to employees. There are claims of soundproof rooms with one-way mirrors, surveillance footage that's immediately deleted, staff who suddenly resign after reporting strange activity. The alleged link to MKUltra. Here's where it gets darker. Some believe that Disneyland was used in the past to test psychological control techniques, a continuation of the MKUltra experiments the CIA ran in the 1950s. The theory says certain rides use subliminal messaging and frequency manipulation. Specific areas of the park are designed to trigger disorientation. Some missing children were test subjects, selected from vulnerable families. It's a Small World isn't just a ride. This ride is at the center of the theory. Ex-employees report seeing dolls that move even when the ride is shut down. Some swear they've heard whispers in other languages, even when no one is around. And once a child vanished mid-ride, security shut it down. The footage? Lost due to technical error. The creepiest part? A former security guard posted anonymously, claiming to have found a locked door in the tunnel system, with a brass plaque reading, "Property of Project Neverland." He was escorted out and fired the next day.
That's creepy. Elmstead said Shylock's an anti-Semitic word that describes Jewish brothers. I'm actually Jewish and I've never heard that, so that's interesting. And then Elmstead also said, actually, I went missing one time at Disneyland and the staff refused to help me, sent me to a security guard who tried to keep me in a cage near the front, like the ticket booth thing.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
Jewish bankers, not brothers.
Oh.
Interesting. Never heard that one before.
Walt Disney does this 2-point thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So do you know that theory about it?
What?
What Disney just did blew my mind. Do you guys remember the story I told you guys about the doctor that died at Disney Springs? It's like in January.
Peanut allergy or something, right?
Yeah, peanut or dairy allergy. And they served her something with it. She died at the restaurant. Like, it was like a big deal. And apparently, this guy, the husband, is trying to sue Disney Springs or Raglan Road or whoever because they felt like they were negligent, which is totally fair for a widower. This is bad. This could happen again. But apparently, Disney is in court or whatever. They're having discussions because they say, listen, you've signed something that says you're not allowed to sue us. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. When did I ever sign anything? They said, well, in 2019, you signed up for a month of Disney Plus.
Shut up!
And in that contract says we are not liable for any type of thing. So you cannot bring any type of legal.
No.
Like, you can't sue us through anything.
This is to go to the Supreme Court.
It's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be crazy.
So when you do the accept the terms and conditions,
Yeah.
It's literally like,
you can never sue Disney for anything, even on their own property. If your wife dies,
yes,
yo, Disney, get out of here.
It's crazy.
It's out of control.
That one blows my mind.
Yes. And that's been, what, a couple of years now?
Yeah, imagine you get Disney Plus and then your son like falls into the lake at Disney and a crocodile eats him and you can't sue Disney World. Like, what?
It's crazy.
Listen, hold on. Goofy's a dog, right? Yeah. And he can talk? Yeah. Goofy's not a dog. Yes, he is. What is he? He's a dog. He's a mouse. The long Goofy? Ears? Mandela effect, bro. This guy just doesn't know cartoons. Goofy is a dog, fam. Yeah. Dogs don't make that noise, fam. Yeah, they do. No, they don't. But anyways, Goofy's a dog, right? Okay. But Pluto's a dog, too. Pluto's an actual dog. But Goofy's a dog. Pluto is on all fours. Goofy's actually walking around like Mickey Mouse, and what's Mickey Mouse? No, but Goofy's a dog too. But how come Goofy can talk and like react, but Pluto can't? Because he's a mouse, fam. He's not a mouse. Comment down below, because I'm actually like dead ass. Like, Goofy's not a dog. I thought he was just a long. You know how there's Mario and Luigi? I thought Mickey was the Mario, and then he was like the extended version, like the long. Fuck it. What theory? He's not even a dog then. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't look like a dog. Yo, he's not a dog. Yo, theory. Listen. Listen. Like he says he's a dog, yeah. So we know mouses exist.
Oh,
We know mouses exist. We know cats exist, right?
Yeah.
But rats have to exist too. What if Goofy's a rat?
Yeah, he looks more like a rat.
And he doesn't want to let everybody else know that he's a rat. So he wears orange. What's the color of Pluto? Orange, fam. So he's pretending to be a dog. He's telling everybody he's a dog. So he's wearing orange like Pluto, because Pluto's a real dog.
Yeah.
But he's a rat.
Damn.
That one's interesting.
That was.
Hey, so we're on ghost topics, right? Look at my
Yeah.
cat.
Yeah, your cat's looking at something.
Yeah. He's tripping
Hey,
out.
Elmston says look up Goofy's parents. Bleh.
Like, he's tripping out. Look at this.
They're laughing out loud today.
This is trippy. Watching my own cat look at the freaking ceiling, like moving around.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny how cats will do that. My mom's cat was always doing that. Looking at the ceiling like something was there. Goofy's grandma has hair like the mom in The Simpsons. Oh, that's funny.
I can't find a picture of his parents. I know they had pictures of Goofy's parents, right? They had a movie with Goofy's parents, didn't they?
Yeah, I've seen the shows and stuff with Goofy's parents.
Why don't they have any pictures of his parents?
And then there was one with Goofy's son.
Yeah, I can find the ones with Goofy and his son.
Pop Goofy, Mother Goofy. There's Grandma Goofy and Papa Goofy. His dad has a red shirt.
That's the only photo I can find. Who is who? Who is who, Julie?
The one with the red shirt is Goofy's son.
Right.
And the lady in the green, I think, is Goofy's mom. The grandpa is standing next to Goofy. But the other two, I am not sure.
Right.
Remember, he had the little glasses. Look up Goofy's father, Disney Wicca. That's Goofy's dad. Oh, wait, orange is Goofy. Never mind.
Stop going in that corner and stay right here. Lay down.
There's no real pictures of Goofy. Like, I can't find a picture with Goofy and his dad. I can find pictures of Goofy and his son.
He's in Mickey Mouse shows as Goofy's dad.
I did find the Goofy family tree.
Oh, his name is Goofy Sr. And Elvis sent a link. And that is Goofy's dad in the image you just showed. Okay.
And this image. And then that's Goofy's family tree, apparently.
Okay.
Weird.
Yeah, apparently that's his dad. IMAO.
Weird.
Wait, that makes sense.
LMA.
Yeah, LMAO. Sorry.
About it, nothing negative can ever happen at Disney. Their PR team is amazing.
The one thing is, no one's ever died at Disney.
No one's died at Disney,
Because
ever.
if they do die, they bring them off site and then pronounce them dead.
Exactly. People will have like a heart attack in a queue or something, and then they somehow are able to declare them dead off Disney campus. And another thing I saw today too, while I was looking at fun facts, all of their American flags are actually incorrect. They're like missing a star or a stripe or something, because in that way they don't have to fly them at half-mast legally if something terrible happens.
What?
Because
I had no idea.
It's like basically it's this world that's not our world. Isn't that so creepy though? And weird?
I don't like
It's
that.
weird, right?
That is very strange.
Welcome
I had
to
no
Disney.
idea.
No one ever dies here.
You live forever.
I have rights as an American.
No, you don't.
You don't.
But River Country, and how it worked was it was recycled water, so they would pump from the lake into the water slides and stuff. Being a native Floridian, you can imagine the risk involved there. One of my biggest fears in this life is swimming in a lake that's too hot and too still because of amoeba.
We're not taking you upstairs, Walt.
We'll see about that.
In tonight's Fact or Fiction, we are looking into a story that's going around. It claims the frozen body of Walt Disney will finally be thawed in December with the hope of bringing him back to life.
50 minutes after midnight in December 1966, a light winked out in Burbank. Walt Disney, storyteller, futurist, dream builder, was gone. But a wilder story sprang up in the dark, that his body was secretly frozen beneath Pirates of the Caribbean, waiting for science to wake him.
Okay, and is Great Uncle Walt frozen underneath the Pirates of the Caribbean?
Tonight, we unseal every rumor, certificate, basement, and laboratory connected to that myth, and discover something far stranger than a single hidden chamber. Ready to step into the cold? Let's pull the heavy door. December 15th, 1966. St. Joseph Hospital overlooked the new Ventura Freeway as Walt took his final breaths. Lung cancer had raced faster than his Imagineers could. Nurses, doctors, and Brother Roy circled the bed. 2 blocks away, animators kept pencils moving, unaware the guiding voice had fallen silent. Within hours, reporters learned the truth, but whispers that hospital staff had seen a silver cylinder rolled out the back entrance sparked a legend that would snowball across decades. 2 days later, Forest Lawn Memorial Park filed cremation paperwork. Permit number 10,976, cremated December 17th. signed, stamped, witnessed, public record. Yet conspiracy hunters almost never request it. Why? Because paper dissolves mystery. But the document sits in Glendale's County Archives, available for $23. Researchers who have touched it describe nothing exotic, no code words, no hidden ink, just an ordinary legal form for 38 pounds of ashes sealed in plot number 144, Garden of Freedom. Facts, however, rarely satisfy a thirsty rumor.
How can you still be alive? You have to be 200 by now.
No, I died a long time ago. I had my head frozen.
While journalists filed obituaries, physicist Robert Ettinger mailed galley proofs of the prospect of immortality. His bold proposal: cool a human body to liquid nitrogen temperatures until medicine learns revival. The manuscript reached publishers in 1964, but Time magazine didn't spotlight it until 65. The same year, Walt fought cancer. Two unrelated timelines, yet they would fuse in popular imagination. Ettinger's idea gave Americans a brand new vocabulary: cryonics, cryostat, suspension. It also gave tabloid editors thrilling headline fuel. January 12, 1967, 28 days after Walt's death, psychology professor James Bedford became the first person cryopreserved. A Hollywood mortuary loaded him into a box packed with dry ice and then a steel capsule. Photographers captured the scene. Associated Press flashed the images worldwide. Suddenly, Frozen Man stories were real news, not science fiction. And because Bedford lived in Los Angeles, only 9 freeway exits from Disney Studios, a simple mix-up hardened. Many readers swapped professor for producer. In October 1967, Paris Match ran an illustrated spread on cryonics, dropping Walt's name without proof. The piece traveled across Europe, translated back into English, and ricocheted through underground papers. Soon, college radio hosts repeated it as fact. By 1969, a Gallup poll found 14% of Americans believed Disney was on ice. No Disney spokesperson answered directly. The company feared amplifying nonsense, so silence functioned like oxygen in a hidden cavern, keeping speculative flames alive.
He built this company, he and Roy and his brother, 2 brothers that worked side by side.
1972. Diane Disney Miller, Walt's elder daughter, granted an interview to biographer Bob Thomas. Halfway through, Thomas asked about the freezing rumor. Diane laughed, then grew firm. "I have never understood how anyone could believe Daddy wanted to come back to life. He was cremated. Period." Magazines reprinted her words, but the correction lacked the drama of the secret chamber story. Urban legends, like animated villains, rarely die on the first swing of truth. Tour guides still point at New Orleans Square, whispering about a cryolab beneath the bricks. Blueprints reveal a much duller space. Laundry tunnels, electrical conduits, a storage cage for parade floats. In 1975, municipal inspectors published the entire underground layout after approving a new fire suppression system. Anyone can view the 32-page plan in Anaheim's city archives. No refrigerated vault, no nitrogen lines, just steam pipes and wiring harnesses. Yet guests swear they feel a chill on Haunted Mansion steps. 1979 brought real cryonics heartbreak. In a suburban Los Angeles crypt, 9 stored bodies thawed when the caretaker's funding collapsed. Families arrived to collect melted remains in shock. Newspapers splashed "Cryonics Nightmare" across front pages. Had Walt been there, as rumor insisted, he would have liquefied too. The scandal pushed many casual believers away from freezing dreams and, ironically, supplied doubters with new ammunition. If famous Disney money couldn't prevent disaster, perhaps the whole tale was pure fiction.
Yeah, he probably didn't even get frozen for real. But it's one of the ones that I always enjoyed. Elmsted said was talking about how if you looked at the Goofy family tree, that all of the Goofies before him were like super talented, and then when you get down to Goofy, he's just Goofy. That's pretty funny. But anyways, I think we had a pretty good episode tonight discussing the craziness of Disney and the weird, just odd things that go into the wonderful world of Disney. How did you guys feel about the episode tonight?
Pretty good.
Yeah, good.
What's the one thing you either took away from this show or learned, Julie?
I've heard most of them before. So, but they're still pretty interesting. I've always liked. I grew up with Walt Disney stuff.
Yeah, me too. What about you, Crew?
Well, being that I've already heard all this stuff, I mean, it's fun to listen and hear about it from other people's perspectives.
Well, anyways, guys, I guess that's going to be our show for tonight. Thanks for tagging in or thanks for tuning in and watching the show tonight. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe and tell your friends and family about it. Before we leave, I'm going to post to the screen. If you would like to donate to us, this is our donation link. Other than that, guys, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your night and a great day tomorrow. Much love from the Robert and Crew Show. Catch us tomorrow night at 12:30 a.m. like normal. Peace and love from the Robert and Crew Show.
Everybody wants answers, but nobody's asking the right questions. This is gonna blow your mind. And maybe make you laugh too. Welcome to the Robert and Crew Show, where we dig up conspiracies, chase UFOs, and turn the weirdest news into wild stories. Join Robert, Crew, and Julie every week for secrets, laughs, and the unexplained. Season 6 is streaming now. Follow us if you dare.